Hello, guys, and welcome to Costa Rica Real Estate and Investments with me, your host, Richard Bexon. This is episode 63 with Rachel Peck. Just so that you know, I'm a little under the weather today, so if I'm not my energetic self, I do apologize. When I got a COVID test this morning, it's not COVID. I think it's worse. I think it's man flu. For anybody that's out there that's ever had man flu, they know what it is that I'm on about. Some people say it's actually worse than childbirth, and I'd have to probably agree with them on that front. So to all you men out there that have had man flu, you know what it is that I'm going through. But today we've got Rachel Peck on the show. We are going to be basically, she's been in Costa Rica for over a decade. During that time, I've helped thousands of people reserve vacations all over Costa Rica. She's a mum of two amazing kids, also the top travel consultant for the NAMU travel group in Costa Rican Vacations, which is how I know Rachel. Her and I have worked together for years. But I thought it good to get her on the podcast and get her opinion on kind of vacation rentals, how to design, maximize revenue, and just get a great, viewpoint from a different perspective rather than someone that's in the industry, someone that's on the out, on out looking in, and also has a huge amount of knowledge on vacations here in Costa Rica. So remember, if you have any questions for Rachel or want to contact her with, basically for her to custom design your luxury vacation, her contact details will be in the description. And if you want to reach out to me at all, need any help with a project, searching for an investment, want to get some input, and kind of like, I suppose, pick my brain, feel free to. My email address is info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com. Let's get straight into it, guys. Rachel, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good, Richard. Richard, how are you?
I'm very, very good, thanks. I got a bit of man flu as I gave on the bit of the introduction here, but I'm getting over it.
Good. I'm sure it'll last a little bit longer.
Exactly. Well, let's jump straight into it. I mean, it's been a crazy 2 years for us. I mean, we've been kind of in the trenches. A lot of people that listen to the podcast are aware, of my involvement with NAMU. And I gave a bit of an introduction to you saying basically how amazing you are. But I mean, we went from canceling vacations in March 2020, now not being able to keep up with, the new sales. I think Jan 2022 could be our biggest month ever. We'll see. But I mean, yeah, it's absolutely insane. But I mean, what trends are you seeing with customers on your side on the travel industry?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like right now people are super ready to travel, like busting at the seams to travel. But one thing that I've noticed is different than like before COVID, or people are super skeptical in general on like what our cancellation policies are, what'll happen if X, Y, or Z happens. So people are definitely more skeptical in a sense where they just want to know what would happen if they got COVID here in Costa Rica before they were even to come to Costa Rica. So I think that it's more, not necessarily people are more nervous, not necessarily that, but I definitely think they're more skeptical and asking more questions on the what ifs. I think it's all about the what ifs right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I mean, I think that, you've got young kids. I mean, especially traveling with kids, you want to know that stuff. And just, it's just, you would just want to know because, everything's so last minute nowadays. Rules are changing left, right, and center. But I mean, the good news is that the industry here has been pretty flexible with us, no?
For sure. Oh, absolutely. That's what I tell most of my clients. It's like right now when people they come in with lots of questions, like they're really scared. The minute I kind of explain like, hey, we've been here every step of the way when COVID even hit, we've been able to work with our partners. Most of our partners are super understanding. I can't tell you how many people for Christmas of my clients that really the day before and the day of, weren't able to travel. And our whole entire team was able to really work with the hotels and get a lot of really flexible policy. So it's been really inspiring to hear how much the industry has been understanding of this, when before, it was very hard to reschedule trips to, get clients their money back or whatever it may be. So yeah, that's one thing that's been really awesome, is that we've been able to help our clients know that their investment is safe by either rescheduling or putting the trip on hold.
Yeah, that's great. It's nice to see the industry kind of, I suppose, kind of banding together on that. So changing gears a little bit, as I'm sure you're aware, this podcast is focused more on real estate and investing in Costa Rica. How long have you been in Costa Rica now, Rachel?
It'll be 9 years in July, so
wow.
A long time.
Yeah, so I'm sure that you've seen a few things, but in your opinion, what mistakes do you see that people they often make, when looking to invest, move, down here in Costa Rica, and how would you suggest they avoid them?
Yeah, I think like when we first moved down here, 9 years ago, I feel like it was way cheaper. I don't know I know you've been here for longer than I have, but it was I think one of the biggest things people do is they don't really realize like the cost of living here or the cost of purchasing things or doing business here, or in general, the cost of things. So I think that people get surprised maybe when they find out the different costs associated with either building anything or buying something or starting a business. And I also think a lot of people come here expecting it to be perfect. And although we love it, this is something that, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. There's a lot of headaches and road bumps and a lot of stuff that take place. And so I think people, when they come down here with incorrect expectations or assuming this is all paradise, I think that kind of stops them in their tracks when the first big thing happens, whether it's, the car prices are ridiculously expensive, that sort of thing. People get surprised. So I think people maybe, what I've noticed just in 9 years of, and it's not everybody, but I find like at least 5 years ago, that's why like now I feel like more people have come and explored Costa Rica and then moved here, like with their families and stuff. But 5-10 years ago when we first moved here, I feel like nobody explored the area as much. They just kind of like picked up, moved, and then dropped down and were like, holy, what's going on? So
Yep.
I think a lot of people maybe didn't necessarily do as much research, but now I'm seeing it different. I'm seeing a lot more in our area anywhere, a lot more families moving down here. And so when you have a family, you have to be more, aware of your surroundings. So I do see a lot more people come here to visit, stay for 6 months to a year, and then come back and make the decision to actually settle down.
I think that's a smart, that's always my advice for people. I mean, I speak to a lot of people who are looking to kind of move here or invest here. They've never been here before. And I'm like, look, I'm not going to let you do any of that. Like, come down, see the areas. As I like to say to people, find your tribe first, like where you like the people, the areas that you like. Because I mean, again, where you guys are in Dominical, Uvita Ojochal is completely different than Northern Guanacaste, which is completely different than the Central Valley. And you've got to really find the climate, the people, and especially if you've got family, like the schooling, that kind of really fits you. So, I mean, I agree. I think people should just take their time and not rush into Costa Rica. There's a lot of land here.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think that's going to go anywhere for a while.
Yeah.
Well, who knows? I don't know. Everything is selling so crazy right now. So I don't know. Maybe it will.
True. So, I mean, you, as I mentioned there, you live in the Dominical, Uvita Ojochal, which is kind of the Southern Pacific area. I mean, what is the area like and how would you describe it to the listeners?
Yeah, I mean, when we moved here, I would definitely have considered it more off the beaten path. I mean, it's more removed. Not a lot of people, even people that we meet from San Jose that are locals to Costa Rica, they would say like, 3 years ago when someone would say something about they live in Uvita, we would say like, why do you live there? Like, why would you live in Dominical? Because in their mind they thought nothing was there. But yeah, I think this area has definitely grown. What we love about it and just seen over the last 9 years, we moved here, we didn't have kids, so of course we were more in like the party beach bums, like totally different atmosphere. And you can find that, but then there's now so many families moving here that there's more private schools offered there. There's more things happening for kids, which I think is super important. So I guess I could kind of consider off the beaten path, but not really so much anymore. I definitely think that this area has been found out by families, especially because there is the infrastructure of the banks, the grocery stores, and then the beach right nearby. So, a place like Dominical, which is a little bit smaller and more of that beach vibe atmosphere, doesn't have as much of the grocery stores. It's got more of the smaller supers. And then Uvita kind of has everything you need to kind of have a family. You can walk to the banks if you need to. You can do all of your shopping right there in the center. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely growing, and I think everything's growing south. So Ojochal is actually like where we want to get eventually, because right now we're in the center of Uvita, which is great. But Ojochal is just more, more land, it's not as much, I guess, development right now. And so eventually we want to keep going south. But yeah, I definitely think our area is not as off the beaten path as it used to be, but it's definitely desirable for families, for young people who want to come and kind of have a community, because there are so many. And of course, I'm speaking because I have young kids, like you mentioned. So that's a lot of like what we look for. So we just in the last year alone, we've met more younger families than in the entire 9 years of living here. It's been crazy.
Wow. Well, I mean, you guys have the huge advantage though, as well. I mean, if people want to be kind of down towards the beach, they can be, but if they want to be a little bit further in the hills and mountains with a little bit of a cooler climate, I mean, and it gets cool up there as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, way up in the mountains, I mean, it's definitely a way different temperature than right at the beach. And that's a good point. It's like our area is like it's almost like Manuel Antonio, where the rainforest meets the beach, but then there's so much more areas to go than just Manuel Antonio. So yeah, I think our area is super special because it has the rainforest, you can go up high, and then also has the beach too. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get everything. Like I think you pretty much get everything of what Costa Rica offers minus the volcano.
Yep. Well, and I mean, if I'm correct, you guys get hot springs up there in some areas, right?
Yeah, actually, there are hot springs in between Metal Antonio and here, which we've never been to, but there are actually hot springs. So it's really just the volcano that we're missing out on.
Well, let's hope they don't put one up there pretty soon. So
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah,
That would bring a lot
exactly.
more people here. No, just kidding.
Well, I mean, again, I know that you're not, integrally involved in real estate in the area, but I'm sure that you kind of at least have kind of like, you can feel the pulse in that area. I mean, I think you've answered this and I'll ask it anyway, but do you think it's a good investment to invest in that area and why? And also, is there a business that you think needs to be opened in that area?
Yeah, that's a huge question. So I definitely think this area is a great area to invest in because of what I said, how it's blowing up. There's, they're putting, there's talks of more, not necessarily subdivisions of what you would assume in like the suburbs, but kind of like a Costa Rica subdivision where it's a gated community with, little farms on site, a school on site. There are talks of 2 or 3 of those about to go in this area. So I definitely think this area is going to continue being desirable for families. So I do think that it is a very good place to invest. And I think everything's going to start moving south. Right now, I think Uvita is priced pretty high. And you would know more about this than I would, but I'm pretty sure that right now we're in like a pretty huge, like there's not a lot of inventory and there's a
Correct.
huge demand. So I think that, I think it's real interesting what we're seeing because, I do have friends in real estate and they're saying it's just crazy. And what things are selling for that they would have sold for pre-COVID, is very interesting. I guess it's more inflated. But yeah, we personally invested. We have a house here that we, have put equity into and that sort of thing. So I definitely think that this area is a great place to invest for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably, beyond Guanacaste is probably the area that gets the most interest from people just because, again, it has that mix of rainforest and beaches and kind of mountains, which the northern part is just very dry,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I just had some clients of Namu's actually just, we're about to close on a property down in Tres Rios in La Cascada Sandola. Beautiful piece, just spectacular views, rainforest all around them. So, yeah, I mean, as you said, everything's moving south and, Ojochal has some pretty good restaurants, no?
It does. It really does. It's beautiful, right? When you drive into Ojochal, my daughter's school is down there, and that's why eventually we know we want to get down there. You just drive in. There's just this feeling of like, and you can still come to Uvita to get all your groceries and stuff, but going into Ojochal, there's just this feeling of like pure peace,
Yep.
tranquil. Like probably the reason I moved to Costa Rica 9 years ago. So yeah, I definitely think it's going to get further south. So I think our area is definitely super desirable, and I'm sure it's just going to keep on. The demand is going to keep on being here.
Yeah. Is there a business that you think needs to be opened in the area? Just because, I mean, again, as populations grow in the area, there's always things that are missing beyond the price mark, of course, which probably wouldn't fit down there. But
yeah, I mean, that would be nice. But, that's a good question. Because my mindset is so families with young kids, that is one thing I feel like. And of course, it sounds like I'm complaining because we have the beach, which is amazing, but not every day do we want to go to the beach, which we do spend a lot of time at the beach. But specifically, I definitely think there's some needs of more things for families, whether it's not necessarily buying toys, but just buying good quality clothes, where we don't have to go all the way to San Isidro. So I definitely think more things that are geared around like everyday things that are not just groceries. And then more like activity stuff for kids. We just got our first little mini golf thing down here, which is cool. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a hard question because I'm sure there's so much more that's needed in this area, especially with how much it's blowing up. But I definitely think things that would be more beneficial to, to families, more toys and that kind of thing.
Talking of families, hey, don't worry, we have kids come in the podcast all the time. So my kids sometimes go in. I make sure that they have to say hello. I make sure they have to say hello when they come in, so they don't come in that often.
Yes, he likes to walk in here when I'm talking. So,
No
yeah, I think more like entertainment stuff for families. Restaurants, we have quite a few, but I definitely think with how many people are coming down here, I definitely think there needs to be more spread out in terms of restaurants. Just more things to do for families. And I'm sure there's way more that are needed that I just am not thinking of right now.
No worries. Where is the place? I would like to ask people this. I mean, you've been here for 9 years. I mean, you've been over this country multiple different times. You know it very, very well. Where is the place in Costa Rica that you like to go? That's a little bit off the beaten path.
It's funny because it used to be Santa Teresa and we just went there and we went during high season, which I don't usually travel during high season because this job's crazy during that time. But we actually went for the weekend last weekend and I still love Santa Teresa, but it is definitely not off the beaten path anymore. It is,
No.
I cannot believe how much it's blown up. Like truly, truly. So, but I would say Santa Teresa, which I still love, or the Drake Bay area. I absolutely love Drake Bay. It's super easy to get to from Uvita, and it's so off the beaten path that every time I go there, I get this feeling of like I don't know, 30 years ago, what some of the places of Costa Rica were before so many people came. And so
Yeah.
I think Drake Bay is definitely one of the top places on my list.
Yeah. I mean, it is pretty amazing here, just Costa Rica. I mean, we think about like 9 years ago, or even 20 years ago was the first time I came here, 17 years ago since I've been living here, just how like developed it was back then and where it is today. And it really is not developed really at all. Like,
There's just more people.
that's it.
Like that's how Santa Teresa was. Like I was really shocked at how many people there were. And there's a lot more restaurants there, but
Yep.
that's it. Like there's not that much more grocery stores. Like there's not, yeah, it's really, really interesting how that is happening.
Yep. Unplanned growth, like normal in Costa Rica, Like I always said, Costa Rica woke up one day and realized that they had paradise. I mean, there were a couple of decisions that they made with the national parks, and probably their social system and stuff. But yeah, I mean, forgive any politician that's listening on this, but like, again, I don't think this was planned.
Yeah, well, it's definitely blown up and there's some people that, really, of course, love it. So
Yeah, exactly. Where have you guys personally invested and why, if you don't mind me asking?
No, we've invested in, I guess, so I don't know, let's say maybe 5 years ago, my husband and his dad wanted to do a build and flip. And so they did that. They found a piece of land, they built the house. And then right as COVID was hitting, we decided that we were going to keep the house and start to pay the loan down. So that's what we personally invest in ourselves is our own personal home. And then we do, my husband's always thinking about different ways because right now I don't feel like there's a huge, and you would know, you've been out in the search, but there's not as many like mid-level homes for families that are not the $1 million, ocean view houses, which are, of course are amazing, but not everyone can afford that. And so the inventory of mid-range, 2 to 3 to 4 family homes that are not, under 500,000 are pretty non-existent.
Yep.
So I think my husband definitely wants to keep on doing that now that we've decided to keep this house. But yeah, we've personally invested our own home here again as the idea to sell it. And then we just fell in love with it too much, so we didn't want to give it up. But yeah, and my husband does that. He does, projects for people who do bring money in to do more investments. So it's definitely a huge thing here. And if we had more, we would keep on doing it. And that's the ending goal, is to keep on, maybe doing more build and flips that are more geared towards families our age versus $1 million properties.
Well, I mean, there's a huge market there. I mean, as you mentioned, I mean, everything, there's a lot of stuff there's not a lot of stuff. I mean, there's land and then there's multi-million-dollar homes, and everything else in the middle, there really isn't much there. And, I mean, when people are coming from the US, maybe they're coming with, $300,000 to $600,000, it's really difficult to find something, so.
Yeah, even land prices I'm hearing are really, really crazy. And there's not as much flat ground, which would be more within that range after you purchase the land and build the house. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think that this area is it's going to keep on growing.
Definitely. Well, I think you answered this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. It's my last question to you because I know that you're busy and we're here in high season. Casey's going to kill me for doing this podcast, but maybe he won't find out. If you inherited $500,000 and had to invest it in business or real estate in Costa Rica, what would you do with it and why?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I probably 4 years ago, I would have said a business. I don't know necessarily what kind of business, but knowing what I now know with my husband doing his own business, it's very expensive to do a business here. In terms of I know you guys definitely know, but there's just so much cost involved and it's so hard to really turn over a huge profit. So I think what we would do with it is probably invest it in land. And then, like I said, build a house that would be more geared towards mid-level families and do a build and flip. I feel like that would be the best way to make significant money, just because running a business, it sounds very expensive and very hard here. So I definitely think doing the build and flip, especially in the go for the inventory that's not really there right now, which would be those mid-level houses.
I agree. Well, Rachel, I'll not keep you any further. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. And anyone that wants to contact Rachel, her contact details will be in the description. Rachel is probably one of the top designers for luxury vacations that we've ever had in this country. So guys, reach out to her. She'll do an amazing job. She has great contacts, great network. And like a fine tailored suit, she'll fine tailor your vacation to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Richard. I appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for your time, Rachel.
Okay.
Hey guys, another great episode there with Rachel Peck from Costa Rican Vacations and the Namu Travel Group. As you can see, she lives down in the Uvita Dominical Ojochal area, which is an area of beauty in this country. I mean, well, the whole country is beautiful, but that area has like rainforest hitting beaches. If I was to move to the beach, it would certainly be one of the areas that I would be looking at, just because, again, a little bit cooler climates in the mountains there. But, you know, within 10 to 15, 20 minutes, you can be at the beaches if you want to, and great infrastructure, you know, located about 3.5 hours from San Jose, or you can just fly into either Parma Sur or Quepos, the Mount Antonio area, very, very quickly within like 15 to 20 minutes to San Jose. So remember, guys, for anybody that wants to contact me personally, anybody looking to make an investment, wants some advice, I can help you make the mistakes or the millions of dollars that I've lost here in the industry. You know, buying, developing, building land here. I'm more than happy to help anyone. A lot of the time, people just get frustrated and want some unbiased help. Again, I'm not a realtor. People basically consult me to basically represent themselves and their interests, so that I'm not chasing commissions. But you can email me info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com. Again, my name is Richard Bexon, and I look forward to many more podcasts going forward, guys. Have a good one.